Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And today, we're going to talk about let's get your credit score boosted fast. Because the economy is going down, you're going to need that credit score to be high. In case you want to get cars, homes, everything. When the economy goes down, you're going to need that credit score. So let's get to it. We're going to add business to this as well. So if you have your business account, there's a Wells Fargo security account. We're going to talk about that too. So please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right, welcome back. So we're about to get into boosting your credit score fast, quickly, increase your score. Come on, we've been down this path before. So today I'm going to start this off a little bit differently because even though most of you who've been on this channel, and welcome to the new people who haven't been on the channel, I usually start out with just showing the sites, which I'm going to do today, but I'm going to also talk about the most important part, which is 65% of your score, most of you have heard this, is based on your payment history and your debt utilization. In case anybody doesn't know, your payment history needs to be at 98%, 99%, or 100%. Never miss a payment is the theme. So if you do miss a payment, that's 35% of your score. That's why your score goes down drastically when you miss a payment. If you miss a payment, then you have to get your credit back to 98%, 99%, quick as possible. The longer it takes is the longer your score will rise again. So what I'm trying to say is if you have one credit card and you miss a payment, you're now down to whatever many months you've had the card, so you could be down to 90%, 92%. In order to get back up to 98 or 99%, it's going to take 7, 8, 9 months. But if you had 10 type of cards or a loan or 10 items that's reporting to your credit score and you missed a payment on one of them, it would only take you 2 months to get back up to 98%, which is back in the green, for your credit score to start reporting and get those points back that you lost. So there is a big difference, and that's why you should have multiple lines of credit, and it doesn't all have to be credit cards, because a mix of credit is 10% of your credit score. I'll have it on the screen so you can see it. So let's get started. Normally I start out with the My Jewelers Club because they have the 5,000 limit, but today I'm going to start out with the Discover It, because people don't understand how valuable the Discover It secured card is. If your score is so low that you can't get a regular Discover card, then you go with the Discover It secured card, but you're going to have to put money down. That is no problem. Even though they'd say on most of their items that they want it to be 500 and up, you can do 300 when you apply and send $300 in for the secured portion. The reason why I love the Discover It card is because after 6 months, on the 7th month, they review your account, and if they see that you've made 6 payments in a row, so that's right, when you get the Discover It card, you want to charge something. You want to make it so that you make 6 payments on time in a row. On the 7th month, they review it. Usually the 8th month, if you say you want to upgrade your card, they will send back your deposit. They will increase your limit and give you an unsecured Discover It card. And now they report to all 3 agencies, and now you have a very good card. There's such a thing as very good cards. Discover major banks such as Wells Fargo, such as Chase, such as Citibank, Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Barclays. Banks matter. They seem to give you higher percentage on your credit score than just a low level bank credit card. So if you can get a Discover, that's major for your credit score. That's starting out the box. Then there is the other part, Now, remember what I said. 35% of your credit score is based on your payment history. So if we're going to stick with payment history, we're going to go up next with the self-lender. That's next. Self-lender works a little bit differently. You actually go here to self-lender. You're actually telling them what your credit limit will be. Let's just say it's $1,000. Then you proceed to pay the $25 or $50 per month, and it acts like a savings account. When you finish paying that, whether it's 6 months or 12 months or longer, that amount of money you get back. Now, there's fees though. So you're basically paying to save some money and have them report payment history on your credit report. And again, you have it where payment history is major. So over the course of a year, you're going to have a payment history for them. You'll have a payment history for the secured card. Everything starts in a positive direction. Your credit score starts rising. Now, the reason why I started with these two this time is because these report to all three credit bureaus. And then the third one that we're going to talk about is where we can get into a $5,000 trade line. Now, my Jewelers Club, they report to all three credit bureaus. And now we can deal with the second part, which is 30% of your credit score is based on debt utilization. So what most of you may not know, debt utilization is based on how much you owe versus what your entire credit limits are available. So I'll give you an example. Let's say my Jewelers Club, they give a $5,000 trade line. Let's say the secured card you get is, let's say you do $500 on the secured card. So now you have a $5,500. And then your self-lender, let's say you pick a $500, I call it savings, for their credit builder. So now all three of those would show you have a $6,000 total line of credit. Now, let's say you did my Jewelers, you owe them $200. Self-lender, you don't owe really anything. And then on the secured card, let's say you bought $100 worth of stuff. So out of the $6,000, you owe $300. That means your debt utilization is under 10%. It's more like under 5%, but it's around 5%, which is where you want to be actually. You want to be between 5, 6, 7, 8. I say 5 to 7%. 9% or less is ideal to always boost your credit score and have it go up. So some of you may have this issue where you have collections. This is why my Jewelers, and up next is New Coast Direct, that's why these can help out greatly, offset your debt utilization. If you're above 29%, so if you have 30% or higher debt utilization, your credit score is getting hurt. So I'll reverse that. You're hurting your credit score when you're at 30% or more for debt utilization. So I'll use the same example. We have the $6,000 in trade line or credit lines total, and then let's just say 30% is $1,800. So let's say now I have $2,000 that I owe on all my trade lines. Those three trade lines we mentioned: self-lender, secured, the Discover It, and the My Jewelers. Now my credit score may go down because I have more than 30% debt utilization at $2,000. It is 30% at $2,000. So that's how people kind of get messed up, because if I have $3,000 in collections and I have this same scenario of $6,000, and I have, that means it's 50% debt utilization, so my credit score is going to tend to go down. But if I turn around and add another trade line or an authorized user trade line, I need to get under 30%. So therefore, if I have a $3,000 trade line, I got to have $10,000 of total credit limits. So that's where New Coast Direct, another $5,000 trade line, comes in, but they report to two credit bureaus. I believe it's TransUnion and Equifax. You can look down below in the description. So now what you'll have is, if you get the 10,000, now you can get your credit score a little reduced. I mean, your debt utilization reduced. and start now with the payment history and debt utilization being 65% of your credit score. Now you can start seeing an increase in your credit score. And by the way, once you start on this path, if you have derogatory credit, what you want to do is try to get a little bit of that bad credit off your credit report. And there's different ways you can do that, which I rarely talk about, but I'll talk about it here. Some people have collections. Some people have derogatory credit. You can actually call these people up and say, hey, I'll pay you. And if I do pay you, I need it off my credit report. I need it in writing before I make payment. Because what will often happen is they may take it off, they may take your money, but they may not take it off your credit report. Then that way you have something in writing from that person or agency, and that way you can send it to the credit bureaus and say, hey, this was supposed to be taken off. A lot of people don't recommend that way. I don't like doing it that way either. But again, unless I have it in writing, then I'll do it. But that just means I got to pay them. The other way around it is what everybody's known as credit repair. And just so everybody understands what credit repair really is, when there's something derogatory on your credit file, most of the time these companies let a debt collector buy the loan. They write it off. So let's just say you have $1,000 loan or credit card with XYZ, and XYZ sends you saying, hey, you owe us $500. They cut your card off. You owe us $500. And you said, well, I don't have the money. I lost my job. Whatever the case may be, you don't pay them. They write it off. Then they sell it to a debt collector. So debt collector is ABC, Acme Debt Collector. So what will happen, though, is you sign documents with XYZ Credit Company. You did not sign documents with Acme Debt Collector. So Acme Debt Collector, in order to get you to pay, they add it to your credit file as a derogatory information, because that's the only way you're going to respond. They feel is that, hey, this is bad for me. When I try and go get a car, a house, or whatever, they're telling me I got to pay this off anyhow, and they're telling me, you got to pay it. So that's why they put it on your credit report. Plus, the credit bureaus are in business because they're getting paid by these same companies. When you go out for a loan, your loan's interest rate are higher. The worse your credit is, the higher that a person can charge you for interest. That's what the game really is. That's why they don't want to take anything off. They don't want to try and help you. Even if there's something in error, they don't want to help you. This is why. Their client is not you. Their client is the person that's going to be charging you the interest rate for whatever item you purchase. That's why they don't listen to people. That's why they won't return and do what lawfully they should be doing. But back to my example, this debt collector, Acme Debt Collector, starts calling, starts sending you letters, doing whatever. And you should just be like, forget about it. You shouldn't even be talking to them, quite frankly. Now what happens, you need to contact the credit bureau, and you need to tell them, hey, by law, I need something that shows my signature, wet signature as we call it. I need you to show something that I signed from Acme Debt Collector. And you need to prove that they have the right to put this on my credit report. So please send this back to me, letting me see my wet signature. A signature from Acme that shows that I signed an agreement with them. What will happen is, because you have LexisNexis and you have Innovis, what happens, the credit bureaus just send a letter to those companies and say, hey, is this legitimate? They send back a message saying, yes, of course it's legitimate, even though it's not legitimate. And then you'll get a response from the credit bureau saying, we verified that this is legit. And then most people go, oh, okay. No, that's not how it works. You need to send them back another letter and say, you know what? I'm just going to think about doing some sort of lawsuit, because under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you're supposed to show that I signed a document with Acme Debt Collector, because Acme Debt Collector has no right to put anything on my credit report because they don't have any, I never had an agreement with them. So unless you guys want to end up in court, I suggest you take this off my credit report. And there are things under the Fair Credit Reporting Act that are like, that does say that. It's not like just BS. So, and you can actually sue credit bureaus. Many people have sued the credit bureaus because they will not take the information off. And ultimately they get sued. And until you get to that point, that's about the only time they're going to take it off. Sometimes they take it off like they should. Sometimes they're belligerent about it and will not. And you need to freeze your Nexus Lexus, your Novus, Sage Stream. That's the third one. I didn't mention that earlier. Sage, S-A-G-E, Stream, Lexus, L-E-X-X-I-X, a Novus, I-N-N-O-V-I-S. Before you start this credit repair journey, you need to freeze those three, because that's basically what credit bureaus use to verify your information. If it's frozen, they can't there's nothing coming back. You're saying, do not give out my information. That's what you're telling those three: Lexus, Nexus, Sage Stream, and Novus. You're telling them, freeze my account. And get this, Lexus, Nexus, and Novus, and all those guys, Sage Stream, they may try not to freeze your account. Sage Stream is like, oh, well, we may take 30 days to freeze your account. Now, all this other nonsense. There's a reason this is a racket. Once you understand it's a racket, they're against you. All right? So keep that in mind. So they're trying to slow roll you and make sure that you stay in their program, so then when the credit bureau tries to check on you, they can still check and send back that BS notice saying, well, we verified, when in fact they did nothing. So keep that in mind. You need something in writing from the credit bureau that says you signed with Acme Debt Collector. And of course, since you never signed anything with Acme Debt Collector, they can't prove that you did, so therefore it has to come off your account eventually. The credit bureaus have up to 30 days to respond. So that's why when people are going out here for this credit repair and they have these people going, well, I can take it off in 2 weeks, I can take it off in this. Yeah, there's certain things that you can get off in 2 weeks. I mean, let's get real. But most of the time, they can't do anything except the same thing I just told you. They have to send a letter in, then you have to sit back and wait for 30 to 45 days to get a response. The response is usually, sorry, it's verified. Then you have to send something back. So by then it's 2 months, 2.5 months that something may come off. If you're lucky, it comes off sooner. And then sometimes even after the second letter and you say, hey, I'm going to maybe sue you, you have to get even more forthright and say, well, I'm just going to file something unless this time you take it off. And third time, it could be 90 days out. And that's why sometimes people say, well, they told me it's going to take me 2 months for it to come off, but then it took 4. Or it doesn't come off at all. There's no guarantee. You can only do what the laws say, and sometimes you have to actually go 5 months and actually have to file a lawsuit to get it off your credit report. So that's how far you have to go sometimes. So just keep in mind, there is no quick fix. People can say they can do quick fixes. Yes, quick fixes do occur, because some of the time people have done this and they recognize names and they're like, okay, we know these guys might do something extra, like sue us, because these guys know what they're doing, so we'll get this off now. There's no point in us fighting for this and wasting man hours on this. So there's all kind of reasons why somebody gets something off in 2 weeks, a month, 45 days, versus somebody that might take 6 months, 5 months to get it off. But either way, you'll get it off, as long as there's no signature that you signed an agreement with them. And then in other cases, even if you did sign an agreement with somebody, now that a Lexus Nexus, a Novus, and Sage Stream are blocked, they don't even have the wet signature because they wrote it off. Right? So the documents are gone for they stored them for 2-3 years, and then after that 4 years they don't have it. So again, there's no way to verify. They can't send in the wet signature. So again, that's just one phase. So this ain't a credit repair talk, but I'm just letting you people know that this is how we do it. So New Coast Direct is another $5,000 trade line, primary trade line that you can have on your credit report. And this helps, again, with your debt utilization and payment history, and they report to 2 credit bureaus. Look down the description below, and that'll be your 2 credit bureaus. And My Jewelers Club and New Coast Direct, how it works, how you start off, you have to buy something over $100, and that's why you keep seeing this $99 flashing over here. But they're both the same. You got to buy $100 or more, and then you put down 50%, and then they charge you $30 per month until it's paid off. My Jewelers Club, New Coast Direct will report for 1 year because basically you have a 1-year agreement. So that's how you can fix your credit score up within 1 year, and then you can go for unsecured cards later. The other thing about this is they do a credit check, which, by the way, I should mention. Discover It, credit check. Self-lender, no credit check. My Jewelers, New Coast Direct, everybody else that I'm going to be talking about, except for Self-lender, will do a hard inquiry. All right? Keep in mind, you want 4 hard inquiries in a 2-year period. That's ideal. That keeps you in the green zone. But clearly, if you're trying to build your credit, you're going to go way past 4 inquiries in 2 years. But let's get to something that's 15% of your credit score is age. Age. So now we're up to 80% of your credit score is based on debt utilization is 30%, payment history 35%, age is 15%. And this is why people get authorized user trade lines added to their credit report, because then you can get this age thing going, because ideally you want 7 years average age. And when you're starting adding 4 brand new credit accounts, for instance, if you got all 4, that starts you at 0. So you can have 10 years of credit history on one card, but as soon as you apply for all 4 of these, you've got now 5 cards at 10 years, so they drop you down to 2 years. It's an average. And so now you're kind of lost that little bit there, but you gain so much more at 65% when you reduced your debt utilization and you have more payments, so you have a more payment history, so you offset it. So what I'm trying to say is, I got distracted. You heard the phone call coming in. That was my aunt, and I probably should have picked it up. But anyhow, we'll keep going. I'll talk to her in a few minutes. But the thing is, you want to, now you're in a position, even though you have the 4 within a short term, nobody cares about your credit inquiries until they get out of hand. So for instance, if I'm going for a house or a car, they don't care about your credit inquiries. They're going to care about your hard inquiries. They're going to care about what your middle credit score is. So if you have a 750 on a TransUnion, 725 on Equifax, and a 7 or a 600 on Experian, your middle score is 725. So that means that's what they're going to give you your interest rate based on 725. It's the middle score. So keep all that in mind. So the only people that are going to care about your inquiries are going to be those that are where you're looking for unsecured cards. So if now, after I do these 4, and let's just say I have 4 inquiries, my 5th inquiry, let's just say I want a credit card with Citibank. Citibank's going to look at that and go, okay, he applied. You may get Citibank. You qualify. Or let's go with Capital One, because you can have bad credit with Capital One. You can have a 580 and up and get a Capital One unsecured credit card. That'll be your 5th inquiry. And that's a little nugget right there. But that'll be your 5th inquiry. So what happens, you keep going down the line and you say, okay, let me get a Citibank, 6th inquiry. Let me get a Chase credit card, 7th inquiry. There comes a point where they start going, hey, this guy is shopping around for credit, and his credit score isn't 750 to 800, showing that he pays all his cards on time. So now they might start denying you at that point because you don't have any real history of paying on time, or you have derogatory information and you're paying on time, but they want to see some history. Just like if you're an ordinary person yourself. If somebody walked into your office and said, hey, give me a loan of whatever the number is, $1,000, and you don't know that person, you're going to want some sort of history somewhere that you know they're going to give you your money back, right? And if you know that another friend of yours they borrowed money from did not, and he didn't pay them back, the odds of you giving him money is pretty slim. You'll be like, hey man, you didn't pay Mark back. So you'd be like, well, I don't know about giving you money. You already owe. And then if you knew he owed two other people money and never paid them, which is what you would find on your collections or derogatory information, now you're like, hold on a minute. You didn't pay these two people, and now you want money from me? You'd probably deny. And that's basically what the credit bureau or the credit card companies, the loan companies, this is what they do. And then they base it on risk. So if I know you didn't pay two people already, am I going to give you a 1% loan? No. You might say, well, wait a minute. I need 20. If you're going to, I need your rate to be 20%. If I'm going to loan you money, this is risky. And that's how they think about it. So that's how you got to think about it. They want to make sure that the less riskier you are, the higher your credit score goes, and the more credit that you can get. And that's when they start ignoring your hard inquiries. Because if you have a 750, 725, 775 credit score, they're not really looking at your hard inquiry or how many times you applied for something. They're just looking at your debt utilization more than anything else to make sure that if you did max this out, are you showing that you're paying all your bills on time? So now your payment history is going to matter a whole lot more than your inquiries. So if they see that you're paid 99% of the time or 100% of the time, they are not going to care about if you have 10 inquiries because your credit score is going to be like 750 and up. So those are the things you look at. Now, Ox Publishing and Hutton Chase, here's how we can get $2,500 more of primary trade lines. Ox Publishing is $2,500. Hutton Chase is $1,500. So that's another $4,000 that you can get of primary trade lines, and they do the same thing. You have to order, well, I've been telling everybody you order $100 or more, you put down 50%, then you're going to pay like $30 per month. They're different though than New Coast Direct and My Jewelers Club, because once you pay them off, then they want to close your account. So this is almost short term. Ox Publishing and Hutton Chase is for 5 months or less. That's what I'll call it. 5 months or less. So if you're trying to boost your credit score up and trying to get something that's going to require an interest rate, then you're going to add these. But keep in mind, right now they only report to Equifax. But that is fine because you need your middle score to be high. So you want to have all these trade lines on your credit file. And yes, they do a credit check, hard inquiry as well. So you need all this on your credit report. Now you'll have a bunch of payment history. Your debt utilization will be low, so you get 65%. You'll have a credit mix, which is 10% of your credit score. So now you have 75% of your credit score is good. You have the mix of credit because all these are different type of credits. You have a credit card, you have a loan, and you have other items that aren't all the same. So now you're mixed, and that all this combined increases your credit score. Now, the hard inquiry may bring your score down temporarily for 1 month until your payment history and debt utilization rolls around for another 30-day cycle. So don't fear, your score will go up. So Hutton Chase, Ox Publishing, after you pay them off, at the 6-month mark, you may get a call from them and say, hey, do you want to re-up? And then you can say yes, and they'll increase your credits, your primary trade line by $500 usually. And you'll either have to pay like $20 a month for them to keep reporting to the credit bureaus, or if you say, I want to re-up, then you just re-up and start your cycle again, pay half, and then they charge you $30 a month. Or you can say, no, I don't want to re-up and I don't want to pay $20 a month. So then therefore they will close your account, which is a derogatory kind of. Since it's a short time frame, it's not going to affect you really that much because you have the main two things going on for you. For the other guys, you have reporting of credit, you have the mixed credit. So 80% of your credit score, you're fine because you're having the payment history, the debt utilization is still low. Now, the good news about Ox Publishing and Hutton Chase also is if I signed up with them today and I need something to report on my credit report immediately. Now, keep in mind, they do Equifax only right now. They lost their TransUnion affiliation and they're trying to get it back. But the point I'm trying to make, they will call you up, and instead of reporting 30 days later, if you make a payment right now, then they will report to your to the Equifax Credit Bureau within the next 2 weeks. So you'll have two payments that you would have had to pay in advance, that the 50% down plus your first payment, but they will report within 2 weeks. So this is how you can get your credit score boosted up real fast on your Equifax anyhow. And if they ever get their TransUnion or Experian or whatever together to add the second one, then that'll be beneficial for you. So, and that is Hutton Chase, who I didn't show, has the $1,500. And yes, I actually spoke with this lady Mitzi on the phone. They called me, and you saw briefly about this credit builder credit card program that they're trying to start. She mentioned it to me. I spoke to her like 2 weeks ago, because thanks to you who have been listening to me, you've been ordering these products from Ox Publishing and Hutton Chase. They're actually owned by the same people. And because I have a referral link down below, a sign up link down below, we've had a lot of people sign up. So thank you for that, and getting everybody trying to get their credit score right. So she couldn't believe that the check she was cutting me. She was like, oh my God, I didn't realize you were doing this volume. And I said, no, well, I'm just helping people out. And it's my subscribers, and they're telling their friends, and they're getting results. So more people come and use my link and signed up, which is fortunate. So I want to thank you for sharing my link, everybody. Stop Struggling Now crew, I appreciate it. Thank you for your support like always. And, share all this information, because people don't know. They don't understand that they're being abused by the credit industry, the loan industry, and there's a way that you can fight back legally. Nothing we're talking about is illegal. So it's not a scam, it's not anything. Now, there are scam companies like DSX that come out and actually report, and then they disappear. But you try and stay with people that have been around for years, and this is why I'm sticking with these guys right now. Now, I mentioned on the preview at the very beginning that business credit could also be started. But these are the ones you want to start with first. And the business credit is going to be another video. But there's something called a Wells Fargo secured business card, which is here. Now, I don't know if they have the 0 annual rewards fee program or not. It could be $25 a year annual fee. I just don't know, because they have seemingly two separate secured business cards. The reason I bring this up is this secured business card can, if you have an EIN number, which means you have a business, LLC, corporation, whatever, you can get this Wells Fargo business secured credit card. And what they do is they do a personal credit check. They also sometimes report not only to DNB, but they report on your personal credit report as well. So again, you can build your personal credit score and your business credit score. Keep in mind, due to when this video comes out, these things could change. So if you do decide to apply, make sure you ask them if they still report to both DNB and personal credit score, because then it'll be beneficial. Now, if you started a business, this is going to be beneficial for you anyhow, as long as they report to DNB still, Dun & Bradstreet. And by the way, go get your Dun & Bradstreet number. It's free to sign up. Don't listen to them when they're sending you emails and making phone calls talking about give us $1,500 to $2,000 to make you legitimate. You're legitimate when you sign up for free and get a Dun & Bradstreet number. You don't need them for nothing else. The only thing after that, you're going to get your EIN. You're going to Experian Business. You're going to, Equifax Business to make sure you're going to be on that reporting. But anyhow, this isn't going to be the business credit talk, but I just wanted to let some of you who actually are starting your business and doing personal credit, sometimes it can go hand in hand. Because if you're trying to get funding, as you all know, you can have a 700 personal credit score and you can get funding as long as your company has revenue coming in. You can't get funding, people, if you don't have revenue coming in. All right? You can't just say, well, I have a Paydex score, which is a Dun & Bradstreet score, and you could say, well, I got 90. That's fine. But the point of the matter is, in order to graduate into funding, they're going to need some, if you want some money from somebody, a substantial amount of money, you're going to have to send in something that says, okay, I do make whatever, $5,000 a month revenue. They'll see your bank account. You're going to have to send over 2 months worth of bank account statements. They'll see how much money you have coming in. You ain't going to be able to fake it. And then they'll be like, okay, we can give you some money. But don't try to have no revenue and then try to say, hey, I need a $50,000 funding. That is not going to happen. So anyhow, this is all about personal. Hopefully that was short and sweet this time. I'm not trying to make this too long. And hopefully you understand the power of your credit score and what you need to make things work, the buckets you need to handle. Number one is payment history. So if you have derogatory credit, meaning usually when your score is 620, 650, 660 and under, that means you might have some sort of derogatory credit. You can fix it. You can write your, let's say you made a late payment, which you may take a major hit when you have a late payment and not able to get it back to 99%, 100%. You can actually write your, whoever has, let's say it's a loan, let's say it's a credit card, whatever the case may be, you can actually write them and say, can you forgive me for my one-time late payment? Can you take that off? What can I do to make it happen? I've been a customer for a while. You can write them letters and see if they would take it off. And usually the first time they're going to say no, no. But if you're persistent and write them again and say, hey, I've messed up this one time. Can I get a reprieve? Can you help me out here? My credit score is suffering for a one-time late payment, and I've been around you guys for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Even if you're 6 months, it does not matter. You still need to write them a letter and say, hey, can you please take this off? This is hurting my credit score. They may not care. They may be like saying, hey, no, because quite frankly, I had a situation with BMW Financial, and I made a payment because I forgot about my payments, and I made a payment the last day that it was due. And I did it like at 7 or 8 at night, and I got an email because you can pay until 11:59 p.m. saying the last day you can make a payment before it's late. And I made a payment like 7, 8 p.m. at night, and the email came to me saying payment that day, which made me I wasn't late. But due to their system, the system showed the payment the following day. Their system says you were late. They reported it late on my credit report. I went back and forth with them for months. I sent them a letter saying, hey, I actually paid before the deadline, so it ain't late. They said, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bird, it's late. Our system shows you paid the next day. I say, well, no, I have the email right here. You can see it's a time stamped and dated, so in your system, it rolled over the next day, whatever you guys had going on, but you can clearly see that I paid before the due date. That, let's say it was the 10th of the month, I paid on the 10th of the month before 11:59 p.m., so on the 11th of the month, that's late. And they reported it like it got paid on the 11th of the month. They would not change it for months. They kept that late payment on there for about 3 or 4 months, and I just was persistent about it, and I was like calling I even called up a few times and said, I need a supervisor, I need something because this isn't right. You're affecting my score. And eventually, after 4 or 5 months, they decided to come correct, and they corrected it. But these are the kind of things that happen. If you just gave up with 1 letter or 2 letters, no. So I'm just letting you know. These are the things that can happen. And you have to be diligent and watch your credit report. So that's why I say get Credit Karma. Even though most people are saying it's a Vantage score, I get you. But Credit Karma at least reports. If something is added to my report, I get an alert. And it says, hey, something's added to your report. Somebody checked your report. Your credit score went up or whatever. So the case you can always get alerts. And if you don't want to use them, then use Credit Check Total and use Identity IQ. You can get a 7-day free trial one time, and you can check your credit score, and that's the official FICO score. So all that in mind, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. So please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. And it's getting harder out here. Who knows what's going to happen with the way the economy is going, with the way manufacturing jobs are less, the way that GE froze people's pensions. If you've been listening to me from Stop Struggling Now, you've been hearing me sound these alarms for the last year now. It's gonna happen. They froze people's pensions. So people who work for GE, who make a lot of money, who thought that they're going to have their $5,000, their $6,000 a month coming in, may not have that coming in. In fact, they may get their pension stolen if GE goes down the way that, I'm trying to think, World Telecom or whatever I think their name was. They're looking almost like these guys. Like their accounting is so far off that they can't afford this, so they had to freeze the pensions. Sears employees know what I'm talking about. When Steve Mnuchin, who's our Treasury Secretary of the United States, I don't mean to be political, so let me just forget about it. But what I'm trying to say is Sears had a pension fund as well. They froze theirs. They're not paying out their money. They sent the people for Sears a settlement, way less pennies on the dollar to accept a settlement where they will not have any pension money coming. That's how bad it is for them. You can Google all this and you'll see. So nothing is safe. So you need to get yourself with a business, your own EIN, set it up today, get your LLC, set it up today, and start running some sort of business, a little revenue, run it through. You can need a merchant account, use PayPal, Stripe, whatever you need. Start doing it, okay? Get your little side hustle, as they call it. Get your little side business, as you call it. Whatever you want to call it. You need to have your own revenue coming in if you have a job. And if you don't have a job, like me, then you can be a hustler 24/7. So let's do it. So keep your head up. Keep moving. And I'm out.